So now I'm going to proceed with our Exchange configuration. So for that I will go into our programs, Microsoft Exchange and System Manager. And the very first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to create a SMTP connector. So we'll just give it a name, say SMTP, and we'll add an our Exchange virtual server over here, and also need to add an address type that would be SMTP, uh, and let it be star, which means all the domains. Cost, let it be 1. Click on OK, apply, OK. So the very first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to configure the domain. Now if we have to send any email, then we usually send an email to say abc@microsoft.com or abc@gmail.com. So we need to buy the domain like gmail.com or microsoft.com. So if you want, you can go and buy it from, there are many providers like GoDaddy, and you can buy domains over there. However, I'm not going to buy a domain. This is a site called freedns.afraid.org, and over here the administrator, that is Joshua Anderson, he's doing an amazing work, I would say, for people like me. For testing purpose, this is the best thing that you can do. Is this guy has bought some domain and he has made it public, and then you can go and you can use free subdomains of those domains. So let me configure, and then as I'm configuring all these things, and it will make much more sense to you what I'm doing. So all you have to do is just go and register yourself in this freedns.org. Then you can go to subdomain, and these are the public domain that you can use. So I would be using, say, crapdance.com, and I can have a subdomain, say, Jeho. Click on save. Now for Exchange to work, as you might be aware of, there we also need to have an MX record. That's mail exchange record. So click on add, and the type would be MX. Domain is, subdomain is again Jeho, and the domain is crapdance.com, and destination would be our mail server, mail exchange server. That's 10jeho.crapdance.com. Click on save. That I'm going to do is I'm going to configure DDNS, that is Dynamic Domain Name System. Let me configure, and then I will tell you that why we are actually doing that and how does that work. So my username and password. I have to put a host name. So to get that host name, I need to go to Dynamic DNS. I need to get this script. I will download that script. Say save it in desktop. Copy, and I can paste that over here. Click on apply. Says connecting to server. Alright, so it updated successfully. Click on save. Alright, so let me tell you how is it really working, like what's really happening over here. So if we go back to subdomains, so see, like if anybody sends an email, like somebody sends an email to abc@gmail.com, or say my example abc at jeho.crabdance.com. So when anybody sends that, then first of all it will look for the MX record. So the MX record for jeho.crabdance.com, that is pointing to this IP address. Now what happens, like my ISP over here, ISP which is BSNL in India, he keeps on changing my IP address because I don't have a static IP address. It's public. It's dynamic. So it keeps on changing. So when this IP changes over here, the dynamic client, which is over here inside my router, um, it it takes a note of it and it updates this over here in our freedns.afraid.org's site over here. So whenever my WAN IP will change over here, this is connected to the FreeDNS server, my router, through my username and password, and so it will, that if any change is made over here, it will automatically get reflected over here, and so it will point to the correct router firewall over here, and then once it's in my network, then I can forward it to the correct mail server. So to do that, all I have to do is just open the port 25, which is for SMTP, for my Exchange server, Exchange virtual server, that's 1.10, and we'll give it some name, say Exchange. Click on apply, save. Now we are done with that. Now we have um, configured the MX record over here, and we have done our port forwarding. Next thing that we need to do is we need to configure our internal DNS. So for that, I will go into to our DNS server 1.3, and I will come to DNS management over here, and I will create a new MX record. jeho.crabdance.com. Click on OK. Over here, so that's the MX record. One more thing that I need to do is the recipient policy. Now my email address would be like @jeho.crabdance.com. So I should also change my recipient policy according to that. So alright, so what does this mean now? This means if I create any new user, say if I create a user John Smith, so automatically his email address would be the first name, that's G stands for given name, that is the first name, and dot last name, which is S stands for surname. So if somebody's name is say John Smith, then the email address would be john.smith@jeho.crabdance.com. So this is what it means. So whenever I create a new user, automatically his email address would follow this email policy, this email addressing policy. Click on apply, say yes, okay, right click, say apply this policy now, click on yes. So now we are done with that. Now we can try to see if you are able to send email in and out So let's say if I send to my Gmail address, let's say XWC. Alright, so I got that. So I'll reply saying got it. I go back over here. It might take some time right now because I have just put in my MX record, so it might take some time to populate over internet, but eventually it will come. So that's it. That's it for we have configured our exchange. In the next video, we will proceed with front end server exchange installation. So I will stop this video right now.